Our pulp mill in Fray Bentos is certainly a case where the political risk realized, but not from the point of view of the host country, but the big neighbor. Everybody's always asking us for the one mistake during the whole project. I don't think that there is such. There are, of course, mistakes on all the actors that were involved. But the case started because there was an environmental movement against actually our pulp mill and the Spanish pulp mill that was supposed to be there and was actually before us. And then somehow the local politicians realized that this is a very good case to win the election and use it in the campaign. And for the reasons that no one could expect, and I don't think that nobody expected it to happen, it became a political conflict between two states. So what can a corporation do in such a situation? Everything was done very carefully in the beginning. So we did a very proactive case with the Uruguayan government and also with the opposition, because in Uruguay also an election time was coming up, and then there was no change in the handling of the project, even though Uruguay had its first leftist government during the time that we were there. So there was no problems, but I think, you know, some of the mistakes, if you want to look for those, and we have been always also talking about them just to also give advice to others having similar cases. The first one was not studying enough the whole political situation in the area. Because for Uruguay, it was, and in the conflict, it was not about the pulp mill. It was about the relations that the countries have and the whole Mercosur. And because Uruguay had suffered a lot from the financial crisis, and because the Argentinians took out their money from the Uruguayan banks, so the whole Uruguayan country and the state almost went bankrupt. So in that sense, they wanted to open up and search for allies in Europe and from the United States, and to bring other industries into the country to be less dependent on Argentina and Brazil, which are the big neighbors. So there, of course, the neighbors not necessarily liked this, and there the pulp mill and the whole forestry was the way for the Uruguayan government to do this and to get there where they wanted. And that was not, I think, not studied enough, what the whole situation was, because then the pulp mill came and it was the perfect excuse. It was built on the border, you had the opposition on the other side, a lot of misinformation was spread, and it was the perfect excuse for the Argentinian government to snap the smaller brother, as they sometimes call Uruguay, that we still rule this area and we still want to make your decisions. But it's very difficult for a corporation because you have a very good relation with the host country and the host country government. And the host country government tells you that because we saw from the beginning the people living on the other side of the border as very important stakeholders, that we have to give them information, we have to involve them, and also the government, the local government of the region. But as the government of your host country tells you that, okay, that we will deal with the Argentinians because we are used to it, so never mind, what do you do as a corporation? Can you go against your host country government and say that, no, you can't deal with them and we will do that because we know how to do it? So that was maybe one of the things that no one could expect, and also the Uruguayan politicians maybe were not as good politicians as the Argentinians, because they didn't know how to play the game. And they were sort of, you know, a bit depressed during the whole conflict because they were also sometimes confused what to do. But in the end, I think for the cooperation in such a case where you have two states in a deep conflict, the only way was to do it how we did it actually, is to stay out of the political conflict and try just to give information we had. The problem also was that during the construction period, as in Latin America, people don't trust companies, governments, they don't trust anyone, because the basic assumption is that the companies are always lying, and if it's a multinational company, even more. So the only thing was to give information and give promises, but we couldn't show anything. We had a huge construction there, but nothing else. So we took a lot of people, media, important people from universities, academics, we brought a lot of people here to Finland to see how we operate. And there we already reached the point that, okay, in Finland we do so, but then they still had the doubt that will they do the same in Uruguay as they are doing in Finland? Because it's easy to claim that, okay, you know, the European companies, they come here and they put mills that you can't put in Europe, they just bring it to the developing countries. But it was still a way the only way was to create doubt in the opposition also, that you have individual people, it's a very slow way, but you have individual people, you know, spreading the doubt that maybe it's not this black and white, the picture. And after the mill started in Uruguay, the situation changed completely, because now we have a lot of groups coming, a lot of Argentinians all the time. So that's why, you know, you are slowing down a bit the misinformation and starting to get the real information through, because that was one of our major problems, how to get the information through to Argentina when you also have the government opposing you.